Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sam Matt Antics Podcast.
Yes, we are back for episode 67, and of course, Matt Dyer, season 2, episode number 2. And it is a treat this episode, Matt Dyer. We have got the first special of the season. How do you feel about this?
Yes, we have. I mean, I'm very excited for it, so because let's be honest, it's my thing.
Would you like to reveal to the listeners what we are doing this week?
Ladies and gentlemen, this week, Sam and I are doing a Formula One. It's not a pre-season special because we've had pre-season, but the first race is this weekend, so we're doing a Formula One special. A pre-season actually starting. Yeah. And I, for one, can't wait.
And I, for one, can't wait. And no special would be complete without, obviously, turning it into a bit of a plonkcast, Medai. This week, I've got for this special Judith's dry gin and tonic. So yeah, cheers,
Judith. Well, also I've got a Wedlock Spring water. Still water.
Not sparkling.
Merry Christmas. No. Oh, no, I don't like... Oh, no, sparkling water can get in the bin. It's awful. Horrible.
Yes, it does sometimes taste like static.
Let's not get bogged down. Static, yeah. Anyway, let's not get bogged down with who likes what drinks. Sakura.
Yes.
How have you been this week?
I've been good, Matt. I've been good. What have I done this week? This is a good question. Not much is the answer. I've obviously I had Monday off and can't really remember what I did. And then I've just been working. You know how it is. I went out last Saturday for. I mean, it must be the first time I've gone out on a Saturday in I can't remember when. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. I had a bit of a debacle with Royal Mail though, if you'll remember rightly.
Oh Lord, I do. Man, I do remember the debacle. Yes,
I was not happy. So for those of you that don't know, I love whiskey, and part of me loving whiskey, I subscribe to this whiskey club where once every 2 months I get a bottle of whiskey, and I spend £50 on this every 2 months, and the whiskey can usually range between £50 and upward to whatever. And this month, it was due for arrival on Saturday when I was out. I was just like, okay, fine. They said they're going to redeliver on the Sunday. Sunday, I sat in, I was waiting for it. I was like, oh, come on, I need to go shopping. I need to do this, I need to do that. Oh, come on, where is it? Where are they? And my dad, no one rang my doorbell. And they said, oh yeah, we had some access issues. We couldn't get it to you, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, right, not having this. Shoes went on, ran down, grabbed my keys, ran downstairs, went out into the car park and went sort of round the corner a bit. And I saw the postman stuck at the traffic lights at the end of the road.
Oh dear.
He just didn't want to make a right turn at her. I was
on a
livid.
scale of 1 to 10, how...
off the charts. We're talking 13, 14, around there. I was absolutely raging. But other than that, Matt, it's been an okay week. Work's been obviously work. And yeah, how have you been this week?
Yeah, it's been okay week. End of last week, beginning of this week, it's been quite heavy in terms of the volume of what I've had come in for me to do at work. And today, of all days, the system at the end of the day decided, nope, didn't want to work anymore. The button that I had to press to get the temperature graph, the button wasn't there anymore, Segura.
Oh my God.
The button was not there. So God knows what's going to happen when I get back in tomorrow. If that's still the case, I might just take an early bath, I think. But Segura, I am beyond excited. Okay, I am beyond excited because tomorrow, Segura, at the time of recording, is Friday, and that means the practice 1 and 2 for the Bahrain Grand Prix is finally here. The season starts. I cannot wait for Crofty to say those words, and it's lights out and away we go. I might cry. Just going to say it now.
It's been a long time, hasn't it, Matt?
It feels a long time. Actually, it hasn't been that long. This is the shortest off season we've had ever, I think. But yeah, I'm so excited. Formula One's going to be back in my life. 23 races this season. It's going to be magic.
Which race are you looking forward to the most?
Silverstone, of course, because I'll be there.
I was going to say, it has to be Silverstone. It has to be.
It's got to be Silverstone. But yeah, other than Formula One and work, I'm learning how to. Now, when we started the podcast, I had to learn how to audio edit, and now we're doing video podcasts. I have had to learn how to video edit. So I'm currently learning that as well. Went for a curry last night, Segura, as well.
Oh, was that the Bengal?
Was for the Bengal, yeah. It was okay.
Oh no,
not the best.
Oh no,
left a bit disappointed actually.
Oh no,
left very disappointed. Yes, but that's all we'll say on the matter.
Okay. So shall we move on with
if anyone
this special?
Is wondering what I'm twiddling, can I just very quickly point out, if anyone's wondering what I'm messing around with, it's a pen and an elastic band. I'm not doing anything else, but obviously that is just about off camera. So, occasionally you see a hand go up like that. It looks a bit dodgy. So I just wanted to establish it's a pen and an elastic band. So, Robert, over to you, Sausage.
I don't really know how to follow up with
Are you okay?
Up from that, Matt. To be honest, I don't know how to follow up after that.
I had to get it out there because, I don't want people thinking that I'm some kind of sick pervert any more so than I actually already am.
Good man.
That's not true, by the way. But.
We're going to move on from that, whatever that was, and move on into this special episode dedicated to Formula One. Now, a lot of our audience may not follow Formula One or may not have been as into the pre-season as you've been. So could you summarise for us the changes in Formula One this season?
Well, there's not actually that many changes. The main change is that you may remember, Segura, last year, the cars, particularly Mercedes, as is very famous, had an issue with porpoising.
Yes.
Now, porpoising is where the car was going down the straight and it was bouncing because it was too low to the ground. The aero was not quite,
arrowing.
So a change came in ready. Shut up, Segura, I'm talking. So a change came in that the teams had to go for a slightly higher rider height. Slightly higher ride height on the car. Now, it's not really made any changes. Well, it has made changes. The bouncing has pretty much gone. Mercedes seems to eradicated the porpoising issue, which is good. Good news. That's really the only major change. Obviously, 2022 was the big change in terms of regulations and how the cars were going to be designed and things like that. So there hasn't really been any major changes this year. But Sakura, as you said, I've been following testing very closely. We've been privileged to have 8 hours over 3 days last week, and I watched all 8 hours every day.
Good man.
Yes, I'm that sad.
So also, obviously, there's obviously another layer of a change, and that is drivers. So, would you like to quickly go through who is driving where this season and new entries where they came from?
I can indeed, Sakura. Let me just hang on. There it is.
Very good.
Okay, so I'll go through the driver roster and what team they go for. We've got a couple of new rookies as well this season. We had a couple of departures last season, Sakura, as well. Of course, remember we lost. Well, we didn't lose. They're not dead. We lost from the sport Sebastian Vettel, four-time world champion. He retired at the end of last year.
God rest his soul.
We lost. Well, he's not dead, Sakura.
Well, he is twice now.
We lost Mick Schumacher.
That I am heartbroken on. That I am genuinely heartbroken on.
Yes, he kind of got the chop from Haas and is now a reserve driver for Mercedes. So, yeah.
I'm not saying we're going to cross fingers
and
that Russell needs to finish his season early, of course, but...
You really love Mick Schumacher, don't you?
I do.
Is it because of Michael?
It's partly because of Michael, but it's more, I think Haas took a really unfair stance on him, getting rid of him, and I don't agree with that.
You say that. He did cause £1 million, millions of damage.
I'm sorry,
cost.
2 words. Pierre Gasly. He's still driving.
What's wrong? What? Hello?
Pierre Gasly's still driving. He's still got a seat. Yeah. And he's caused more damage than Mick did last year.
What? No, he hasn't.
He did last year. He did. He caused a lot more damage than Mick did last year, I feel.
Okay, well, we're going to agree to disagree on that. Don't get me wrong. I am a big Schumacher family fan. But Mick did some good drives last season. Don't get me wrong. Silverstone, for example. He nearly had Verstappen at the end. That's where he got his first points, actually. But, yeah, it wasn't a great season for Mick Schumacher last season. And the last absentee, obviously, is Danny Rick. Daniel Ricciardo.
Again,
was
another one.
Ousted out of McLaren.
Mm.
Well, we're all upset about Danny Rick, and I hope and pray that he can find a team to come back into the sport, because he just is a fresh air in the sport. And I really rate him as a driver. I think he's really good. You don't win 9 races for nothing.
He's quite a solid driver, though.
That's very solid. You can always depend on him. Not so much the McLaren years. Obviously, that didn't work out. But very, very, very good driver. Okay, so they were the changes in terms of people going out, and we'll get to the changes of people coming in as I go through the roster. So Red Bull this year, no changes. We've got double world champion Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in that second Red Bull seat.
Checo.
A very tainted seat, let's be honest. We do love Checo. What was it? He was called the Mexican military of defense or something. after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2021, which obviously we don't talk about, Segura.
No, we don't.
So, no. So that's Red Bull. Ferrari, we got everybody's favourite, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. No changes on that. Mercedes, hopefully going to bounce back. Not sure, but we remain in hope. They have obviously got Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Alpine, we've got a change at Alpine, Segura. Mm-hmm. We have got Esteban Ocon, as per last year. I really rate Esteban as a driver, but, others don't, but we'll move on. And Pierre Gasly has come to see that second seat, Segura, taken over from Alonso, who has gone to Aston Martin. McLaren. There was a big hoo-ha last year, Segura. You may remember
about I do.
the Oscar Piastri situation and that infamous tweet, should we say? So he's the rookie. He is a rookie coming into that second McLaren seat effectively, and Lando Norris is obviously still with us, doing bits in that McLaren, outperforming it all the time. But I am biased, obviously. Alfa Romeo Sauber, Valtteri Bottas, and Guan Yu Zhou, or Zhou Guan Yu.
Still changed, has it?
Return. No change in that driver pairing. Aston Martin, we've got Lance Stroll, of course. He's never not going to be in that team, is he? He's gonna be an elderly man in that team, so as long as his dad is running it. And Fernando Alonso, as I touched on briefly a second ago,
that is a great
come to
signing,
Aston Martin
though.
to replace Alonso.
Yeah, not Stroll. Fucking hell, not Stroll.
No. I don't know why I said that. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, so Alonso coming in, effectively, I would say, the team leader now.
Got to be.
But remains to be seen. Haas, we've got another change, Segura. Obviously, Mick Schumacher out. Nico Hulkenberg, the super sub, is back.
I do love a bit of Nico, I won't lie.
And we do like the Hulk. And Kevin Magnussen, obviously, in the first seat. AlphaTauri, we've got Yuki Tsunoda. We'll get into Yuki in a couple of sections' time. But alongside him, we've got another rookie. He did a race last year when Alex Albon had his appendix out, I think, and there was a huge complication or something. So yeah, he couldn't race in Monza last year. So Nick de Vries came in and absolutely solid drive. Got points in his first race, Segura. And yeah, lastly, the two Williams drivers. We've got Alex Albon, as I just touched on, and another rookie, Logan Sargent. And that's the drivers we've got this year, Segura.
Very good, very good. Now, this year, I would say obviously we've got quite a lot of new blood coming in and a lot of changes, as you've touched on there. Of the rookie drivers, there's one person I've got in mind that I think will do better than the rest, but who is the one that you would earmark as the fastest rookie driver, the one to get the most points this season?
It's very difficult to say, Segura, because in pre-season testing, McLaren were, again, nowhere. Really, really, really poor pre-season testing for McLaren. Oscar Piastri has been in many occasions on social media and stuff like that, amongst the community, is a world champion of the future. He is a fantastic, fantastic driver. He's won all the junior formulas, Formula 3, Formula 2, world champion in both. It's going to be very interesting to see how he goes up against Lando, though. I mean, Lando is he's not slow, let's be honest.
No.
So we'll see with that McLaren. But to answer your question, on paper, it should be Oscar Piastri. But I also rate Nick de Vries as well. I think he's going to be a dark horse, not to win the championship, obviously, but to get some good points for a struggling AlphaTauri team.
Yeah. Now you just mentioned it slightly there. Who is your dark horse for the championship?
There's no dark horse, well, we know who's going to win the championship.
I think we know who is going to be in and around. So, okay, I'll rephrase. Who is going to be the shock of the season? The one person that finishes much higher than you expect them to be. Who do you think that's going to be this season? Obviously, we're effectively clearing out the top six. Effectively, we're clearing out the top six at this point. But you think Fernando?
We'll touch on it shortly. But that Aston Martin, if we go by testing, looks absolutely rapid and a solid car. And I think they could be, for at least the first few races, I think they are going to be up there, probably beating Mercedes.
Mercedes?
That's what I'm going to say. This is going to come back to bite me on the ass, but I think Aston Martin, at this present time, unless Mercedes have been completely lying to us, which I don't think they will after last season, Aston Martin have, at the moment, I think, the quicker car and the more stable car, and will outperform Mercedes in the first few races, at least until like Baku time.
Okay,
that's what I think. Anyway,
obviously, every season with Formula One, there's the team that doesn't get off the mark quickly, and then when you get around, it's usually just before the mid-season break. They start to do changes to the car and they start to tweak things. And then in the second half of the season, they kind of make the beginnings of a comeback. For you, which car are you disappointed with in testing, but hope by end of the season would have recovered themselves?
It's got to be McLaren, Segura. McLaren did the fewest laps out of everybody in testing, and Lando Norris did the fewest laps out of all the drivers. I think he did like 35 laps throughout the whole 3 days. Whereas, other teams were doing like 400 and something laps over the 3 days. McLaren are going to be really on the back foot. And my real concern is that they need to upgrade that car quickly, because if other teams are going to get good points, by the time we get to McLaren, realistically making a challenge again for the midfield, are the other teams going to be too far for them to catch? It's difficult to tell, and it's going to be a complete unknown until obviously lights out on Sunday. We won't know the full extent of what those cars are capable of. But to me, McLaren have really got to buck their ideas up, because this is the second year in a row that their pre-season testing has been an absolute fucking disaster.
But it was a disaster last year.
So bluntly,
it was a disaster last year, as you rightly said. But they did remarkably well by the end of the season.
Well, you say that, but they still lost to Alpine in the championship.
They did, but I think if we're being fucking right, if we're calling a cow, once all the whispers, once I think Danny Rick's head fell out of it, and then his heart went, I think that he didn't do himself a good service in the car, which I think cost him a lot of points. But then again, if you know you've not got to drive next year, it's kind of fair enough. But I don't know if you agree or not or disagree. But yeah, that's what I thought towards the end of last season.
I disagree. I disagree, but for the purposes of to agree to disagree,
we're going to move on.
We both have our opinions, obviously. We're going to move on. Otherwise, we could be here all night.
Okay. Before we go into the final section, Matt, sorry for touching you again. Just need to refresh.
Have a sip of beverage.
There's one thing. There is one question I do have for you. Every year, we both get quite angry towards a certain driver.
Yep.
Do we think he could be caught this year? It's my final question before we move on to, obviously, the final section, but do you think he can be caught this year? Based on testing alone, that I should add that, just based on the testing you've watched.
Well, okay, well then I've got two separate answers then.
Okay.
Because based on testing, no. Verstappen will walk the championship. But you have to remember that because of, obviously they breached the cost cap.
Yes.
So their time in the wind tunnel was significantly reduced. Now, that's not going to play much of a part to begin with, but towards the latter half of the season, when they've run out of wind test time and other teams are still putting upgrades on and still got that time to, upgrade bits, it's going to be closer. But that Red Bull just looked too good in testing. I've got to be honest. So I've got other bits to say on that, but I'll wait for the next section on that. So I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket.
No, that's fair enough. So moving on to the next section, and this is the nitty gritty. This is mine and Matt's opinions on effectively Formula One as a whole in 2023. We are going to now rank where we think all the drivers and the constructors will finish from lowest to highest.
Should we do the teams first, Agora?
Yes, let's move on. Let's do the constructors first. Who have you got at number 10?
Right. Number 10.
Actually, should I take a little before? I think we should do two teams. So do 10 and 9 first, and then discuss, and then move on and do 8, 7, etc., etc.
Okay. So what we'll do is I'll do the first two, and then you give your two.
Yep.
And then we'll discuss against each other's.
That's what I just said.
So number 10. Yes, I know, Segura. We've had a day like that, okay?
Oh my god.
For context, everyone, I did exactly the same earlier. Sam came up with this idea. I said, that sounds like a good idea. Why don't we do it like this as well? And it was exactly the same thing that Sam had already said. I just put a few extra words in. Apologies, SC. Apologies. Do you need to take a...
Let's have a drinks break.
My number 10. Number 10 for me. We love them. Everyone loves them. But I can't see them making much progress on last year. It's Williams. For me, it's going to be difficult for them. The car, though, the car had very good reliability in testing. The car looked pretty good. But again, I can't see them getting many points. and it pains me to say it because I just love them as a team. And I hope one day they can get back up near the front. But yeah, number 10, Williams. Number 9, Segura. Alfa Romeo Sauber.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's a controversial call because you've got two good drivers there. You've got Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, or Zhou Guan Yu. They had some reliability issues last year, especially the Ferrari engine. Remember that. The Ferrari engine last year, they had to turn down at some tracks because it just was not reliable at all. So, yeah, number 9 for me, Alfa Romeo Sauber.
Okay. So my number 10 is also Williams. Again, same reasons as you've just given.
Bastard. How could you do such a thing?
I just don't think they're going to do it. My number 9 is probably, I would argue, probably everyone else's number 9 as well, and that's AlphaTauri.
Okay.
Only because
I can see why you did that.
It's a struggling team. They've brought in a rookie. The rookie needs to bed in. And can Tsunoda get the points the team needs to get up the Constructors' Championships? No. But do I think they'll beat Williams? Yes.
AlphaTauri are a weird one for me because they've had such good seasons in the past where that car has been in the midfield and really like pretty damn close to, constantly good performances. But last season, that car was nowhere. It really was not a particularly good car. And I think that's probably why Pierre Gasly left as well. I mean, obviously the whole going to a French team as well. Yeah, it's a no-brainer for him. But that AlphaTauri was not a good car. And I have a feeling, and as much as it pains me to say, I don't think it's good. It's definitely not a looker this year. Fucking hell. When they released that livery, I was nearly sick. I'm trying to say it. It's an awful, awful livery. But yeah, I don't think that car is going to be chucking out good performances, unfortunately. But again, remains to be seen.
Okay, so have you got 8 and 7 then?
Number 8, AlphaTauri for me. I think they're going to perform better than Alfa Romeo in terms of reliability. I think they're pretty... The Alfa Romeo looked fairly strong last year, but I think the reliability comes down to it. It's a 23-race season. It's a long season. And I don't know, Nick, like I said, Nick de Vries, I do rate him as a driver, and I think he's going to pull off some fair point scoring challenges. But yeah, I think realistically, AlphaTauri is going to be the 8th fastest team. Number 7, I've gone for Haas. Gunther Steiner, what a guy!
Oh God, okay.
Been watching Drive to Survive, Segura at work, and every 5 minutes, I'm not going to do the accent because I can't do his accent. He said, "Fucking hell, I've got to get on the phone to Gene." I did the accent. He's always. I need to phone Gene. I need to phone Gene. Haas always start the season very strong. They do. They start off very strong, and then they kind of fizzle out towards the end, or towards the middle and the end, because they don't really have sponsorship, so they don't have a lot of money to spend on upgrades. Like last year, they only bought one upgrade package throughout the entire year. This year, they've got a title sponsor, so they've got more money, and they've actually been able to actually pretty get close to the budget cap. So we should be seeing upgrades on that Haas throughout the season. So I think Haas are going to have a stronger year. And obviously we've got two very good drivers, very experienced drivers in Hulkenberg and Magnussen.
Yeah.
Bit of history between the two. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite them. But yeah, number 7 for me, Haas. Again, use Ferrari engines, by the way, so reliability, just, So go on.
I've gone for Alpine at 8 and Alfa Romeo at 7.
Okay. You put Alfa Romeo ahead of Alpine?
Only because if you look at for me, the drivers that are in Alfa Romeo will get the best out of that car. But the drivers at Alpine, I don't put as much faith in, if that makes sense. So, as we remember from last year, a certain driver at Alfa Romeo made their car the width of the track and didn't let anyone through, and he was absolutely incredible, and the other just got the points. I feel for Alfa Romeo, they've got good drivers. They've got a very good relationship with the drivers they have. And I think that will edge them further up. I think they are going to pick up a lot of the stray points as the season gets on. But yeah, for me, number 8, Alpine, number 7, Alfa Romeo.
Okay. Number 6, Sakura.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to believe I've done this.
You're
number
not about
6,
to do.
McLaren.
Oh my God.
Based on what I said about them being poor in testing and how that it could affect the first good few races. I've really been... McLaren are really... I love McLaren, as you know. McLaren is my team. But we've been on this trajectory now where we had Lando and Carlos Sainz in the team, and we were going up. We were going up, and we were going up, and the performances from both drivers, incredible. Then obviously we had COVID hit, and we then obviously had Lando nearly winning the race in Russia. That was a good race, but alas, between Lando and McLaren, they made a poor decision, and that cost them. Then obviously Sainz left, and we had Danny Rick. And Danny Rick at McLaren, it just didn't work out. He did win a race, remember, at Monza. But other than that, it wasn't a great partnership, shall we say. But yeah, the trajectory has just been going up and up, and then all of a sudden, it's coming back down. And then a couple of times it goes up again a little bit. We don't seem to be on a trajectory of we're going to be a front-running team. And I kind of have my reasons why I think that is the case. I'm not going to say it on this podcast because it's going to be really opinions that I don't want on a podcast.
Okay.
I'll tell you afterwards, Sakura. Remind me.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, McLaren are going to have a really poor start. I think they're going to be 15th or worse in races, especially the first 2 or 3. And then they'll gradually get better throughout the year and start making up the points again. But yeah, number 6, McLaren. Number 5, Alpine. Alpine are a strange team in the sense of they've been making some very good progress the last few years. We've now got a French team with 2 French drivers in Ocon and Gasly. I rate both of them. A lot of people don't have a lot of time for Ocon, but I do rate him as a driver. Very tall, Segura Esteban Ocon. Not that has anything to do with anything we're talking about, but he's a very tall driver. Alpine obviously was 4th place in the Constructors last year. They had a very good season, despite all the reliability issues with Alonso. So realistically, if they took the reliability issues out, they would have been easily 4th without the fight with McLaren last season. Realistically, I think they're going to have another fairly solid year. I mean, when I was listening to testing, there were so many rumours in the paddock, but that Alpine was absolutely rapid and going to be really, really far up there. But from what I saw of it, and what a lot of people saw of it, the car was not particularly happy in terms of going through corners. So I don't think it's going to be a world beater, but it's going to be a solid middle of the pack.
Yeah.
5th place for me.
Okay. This is interesting. It's very interesting.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord.
Number 6 for me, I've also put McLaren.
Okay.
My reasoning was when we look back and we look at the drivers that they've had, as you said, Lando's not had to be the number 1 driver, sort of within like experience wise, let's say. Obviously, Danny Rick was the experienced driver, almost in the number 2 seat, which is, it's fine. But now that Lando has to be the experienced driver, as much as I love him to pieces, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure the combination is going to work well and not going to pick him up points, is my opinion.
I have to say that if Oscar hits the ground running and is on level with Lando, it's going to be a very, very interesting situation because McLaren love Lando. Like, they will do anything to keep Lando.
Yeah.
But Oscar Piastri equally is set to be
he's an unknown
one of the next
quantity,
best
isn't he?
things.
It's just him. The unknown of him is the other thing.
I'm trying to think back to testing. He had McLaren were just awful in testing, so it's very difficult to judge how well he did. He did have a spin, but you kind of expect that with a rookie driver, I suppose. But I agree. I agree to a degree. What you said about McLaren. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
And my number 5, and this is another very, very interesting thing because I thought I was going to have a really controversial opinion about a team that I've not mentioned yet. But interestingly, you haven't mentioned them either. My number 5 is Haas.
That's not where... What do you mean I haven't mentioned them? I have mentioned them.
No, not Haas. There's another team that neither one of us has mentioned, which I think is going to shock
I know
the audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's similarly to you, but I think that they are going to be it's going to be a solid drive, but they're going to be not getting enough points to get them up the championship. And I think they're just going to be sort of middle of the pack, unfortunately. But 2 solid drivers, 2 amazing drivers in their own right as well.
So just to clarify, you think that Haas will beat Alpine?
Yes, because I think Alpine, obviously, you can't really take a car one year and move it to the next. I understand that. But the reaction of the team from how unreliable the car was last year to how it is, to obviously how they reacted to it last year being as unreliable as it was, nothing really improved properly. And for me, I just think that Haas have 2 very good drivers in a car which is already a pretty good car last year, so it has improved. I hope it's improved, obviously going year on year. I think it's just going to be a middle of the pack drive for them. For Alpine, I feel their reaction to the potential problems that the car and the season will bring will mean that they don't pick up as many points. And maybe if a driver goes out, the other driver stays in. I don't believe they'll pick up the points that they need.
Okay.
Who have you got at 4 and 3?
Here we go, Sakura. This is where it goes. Right, number 4. Aston Martin. Aston Martin had... That's you clapping, by the way.
It is, yes.
Aston Martin had a very, very good testing. They were without Lance Stroll because he injured himself. And so they had their third driver, their reserve driver, Filipe Drogovic. Again, very solid drive from him through testing.
He's good driver.
Alonso did many, many laps in that Aston Martin, and it pains me to say it, but it looks a very, very good car. Very good car.
And we know what Alonso can do.
Already mentioned, I know, he's so old as well, it just annoys me. He's about 104. He's about 104 and he's still doing well. It really annoys me. Anyway, as I've said previously, that Aston Martin will beat Mercedes in the first few races. I'm calling it now.
Mercedes, okay.
In at number 3, Segura.
I think where this is going.
Mercedes, funnily enough.
There we go.
Here we go. The Mercedes, I think, as I've said again, is going to be struggling the first few races. In testing, like I said, the bouncing had gone, which is great. The back end looked really not quite right. It looked, not in the sense of like design-wise, just in the sense of the drivers were having to wrestle it round the corner. There was a lot of Lewis coming out of a corner and it like full lock drift. Mm-hmm. It didn't quite look stable. Now, Lewis and George, both amazing drivers. George, for me, is a future world champion. Lewis, as we know, he's a 7-time world champion, arguably the greatest of all time. He knows how to drive a car. He knows how to handle a car. The car looked better, but they need to sort that issue out with the rear end. Once they do that, the car has potential. I mean, can we just say as well, we haven't really talked about the liveries apart from the AlphaTauri one. Mm. That Mercedes livery.
Oh, God.
I nearly had a trouser accident when I saw it for the first time, Segura. I nearly did. Oh, it was incredible.
Did you, this is just a little bit of a sidebar, but did you see that Ferrari went round testing with ragu in their nose? Did you see that?
I know what you're on about, Sakura. You're being a very Italianist there, Sakura, aren't you? Just because their bit of front wing had a little bit of a dent in it as they were driving along. Honestly, I'd like you to apologise to the people of Italy now.
I can't. That's too funny.
Right,
the Ferrari does look a nice car. It does look.
So we just got to say we're not on Ferrari yet.
No, okay, carry on.
We're still on Mercedes. So yeah, Mercedes. There we go. So your turn.
Ferrari. There we go.
What, third?
Hey? Oh no, sorry, no. I was just talking about the cars.
You think Ferrari? Who do you think's going to be in third? Go.
No, my fourth is Aston Martin as well, and my third is Mercedes.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Aston Martin, Mercedes. Again, for me, it's putting Alonso in that seat.
It's going to be close
put
battle.
Alonso in that seat. For me, it's that's why I've gone that. And Mercedes. yeah, I can't see them catching. Obviously, Red Bull, Ferrari. Yeah. So yeah, that's
the
why
big
I put
question
them
is, Sagraba, who did we put at number 2 and 1?
there. Well,
I think we
which
probably.
way round?
I think we've probably gone the same. We've gone the same, full on. For me, Ferrari will be runners up again, and Red Bull will be the champions. As much as it kills me to say it, that Red Bull in testing, as I've already said, it just looks amazing. Whichever driver you've got in it, obviously Max is the prodigy anyway.
Yeah.
The Ferrari, I'm really unsure with the Ferrari because it looks to me that from testing that the way that car is set up to drive will suit Carlos Sainz better than it will Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd let you know.
I've gone exactly the same with Ferrari 2, Red Bull 1. Only because, for me, Red Bull have at the moment this winning formula. Yes, I do think that there's going to be some impact later on in the season. But at the start of the season, I can't see them doing anything but running away with it.
Yeah. It's
As much as I hate to say it, but
I know, it kills me. Honestly, that's the worst. Anyway, we've done the teams. Shall we move on to Robert? Now, obviously, we've got quite a few drivers to get through here. So I think what we should do is do the same as what we just did.
Mm-hmm.
But just a few words, a couple of sentences about why we put them where we have.
I think do 20 to 16, 15 to 11, 10 to 6, and then top 5.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to write that down, Sir Grover, because I'm going to forget. What was it? 20 to 16?
20 to 16, then 15 to 11, then 10 to 6, and then 5 to 1. So it's basically just 5 drivers each time.
Okay.
Okay. So who have you got between 20 and 16? Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to say, and I think, Sir Grover, you will be the same as me in this situation, that coming up with the drivers from 11 to 20 was so much more difficult than drivers 1 to 10.
100% agree. 100% agree.
I really struggled with 11 to 20. So these might be a bit off.
Yeah, so I'm going to
So apologies if you get offended. Okay. Number 20, for me, Logan Sargent.
Same, yeah. No,
I don't know much about Logan Sargent. And he's in a Williams, and realistically, I can't see him getting points. So, number 20, Logan Sargent. Number 19, for me, Yuki Tsunoda. This year, for Yuki, he's D-Day. He has to perform this year, otherwise he will not have a drive next season. Last year, he had really bad races. I think he got lapped like 3 or 4 times in one race, and it just a bit of a disaster year for Yuki last season. So he's really got to buck his ideas up. 18, I've gone for Nico Hülkenberg.
Ooh.
Number 17, I've gone for... Oh, no, I need to change that. That was a stupid thing to do. 17, Alex Albon. I think Alex is going to get a few points this year. He's a solid driver. I really like Alex as a driver and as a person. He's just a down-to-earth, decent human being, and that deserves points for me. And number 16, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. Yes.
Do you think Haas
will
be in the bottom 5? Both Haas's will be in the bottom 5?
Yes, I do. As a collective season.
Okay. So 20, I've gone Sargent, obviously. 19, I also went for Yuki Tsunoda. 18, I went for Alex Albolognese, Madonna. Again, you put me 17. But I think it'll be 18. Then I've gone number 17, Esteban Ocon.
You had the audacity to have a go at me for putting both Hasses in the bottom 5, and you've gone and put Esteban Ocon at number 17.
Mm-hmm.
You need your head testing.
Number 16. Number 16. I've gone for Gasly.
Oh, fuck off.
Those of you listening, Matt has just walked off the screen.
Are you winding me up?
No.
My webcam is so annoyed, it's blurred me out.
It's still blurring you out. I think...
It's still blurring me out.
Hang on. Just let it adjust.
Hello?
It's not adjusting. You're still blurry. The walking off set has annoyed it.
It's hello? Hang on.
God.
There we go.
There we go. It's sorted out.
Got there eventually. So you put Esteban Ocon at number 17.
Yes.
And Pierre Gasly 16th.
Yes. As I said, I don't back from this season.
Okay. All right. Well, there are no judgments here, Sakuraba. We're all friends here.
It's your 15 to 11.
Number 15, Sakuraba. 15, yep. Guan Yu Zhou. 14, Nick de Vries. 13, Valtteri Bottas. 12, Oscar Piastri. 11, Pierre Gasly.
Okay.
Nothing more to say than that.
No, not really. No. I've gone for Nick the Fridge at 15.
Sorry? Nick the Fridge?
I've gone for Nick the Fridge at 15. I've gone for... I've gone for Piastri at 14. Okay. Zhou at 13. And at 12, Stroll. That's an interesting one, but Stroll. And then number 11, the man, the myth, the legend, Nico Hulkenberg.
Fuck yeah. Oh. You really butt-lick Haas, don't you?
Mm.
Wow.
Thoughts better?
You think Nico Hulkenberg... Okay, all right. No, that's fine. It's a good selection there, Sakura. Would you like my 10 to 6?
Yes, please.
Number 10, Sir Lancelot, Lance Stroll.
That's an
Number
interesting
9,
pick.
Lando Norris. Number 8, Esteban Ocon. Number 7, Fernando Alonso. Number 6, George Russell.
Okay. I have gone for number 10, Orlando.
Do like Orlando.
Number 9, Valtteri Bottas.
Ooh.
Number 8, K-Mag.
For fuck's sake! Okay, yeah.
Number 7, George Russell.
Mm.
And number 6, Fernando Alonso.
Wow,
It's an interesting one, that, isn't it? It's a little bit different because obviously,
other than
expect...
the hats, I think better play, Segura. Number 5.
If these aren't the same,
Sergio Perez. Number 5, Sergio Perez. Number 4, Carlos Sainz. Number 3, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Number 2, Charles Leclerc. And number 1, Max Verstappen.
okay.
Thoughts?
You back Hamilton.
I've just realised something as well. I think he's going to have a very, very good second half of the season. I've just realised, though, the way I've done my drivers, it doesn't really match what I've done for my teams. I've said that Guan Yu Zhou and Valtteri Bottas are going to be 15th and 13th, yet I put Alfa Romeo Sauber at 9th in the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I said Alpine would be very
like
good.
I say,
I backed up with the drivers.
So yeah, like I say, P11 to 20 was actually really difficult to call.
It was, yeah.
So,
it was. It really was.
Probably other than 20th. But go on then, so grab up your last 5.
I've gone for Carlos Sainz
Okay.
at 5. Lewis Hamilton at 4. I will say this though, just before everyone comes at me for this. This is the hard, other than sort of 10 to 20, this was the hardest decision I had in who went where with Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton. But I've gone for Hamilton at 4 and Perez at 3. Obviously, Charles Leclerc and Verstappen at number 1. The bastard. I hate him.
I don't like Alonso. And I was asked if I had to support Alonso or Verstappen to win
Alonso.
a race or to win the championship. No. I'd
You're
go
going
for Verstappen. Verstappen. Yeah. That's what's Verstappening, I tell you. So there we go. There's our little what we think is going to happen. Anything else to add in this podcast, Sigurd?
I think there's only one more thing that I've realised we've not actually covered. So when you go to some types of pub quizzes, there's this wooden spoon for the team that finishes last. Okay, who do you think is going to win the wooden spoon for amount of retirements or forced retirements?
Oh, that's a fucking great question. Let me have a look at my list. Would you like a team or a driver?
Let's go for both, just in case.
That's difficult. I'd be inclined to say I don't know. I cannot.
Would you like mine first? While you think about it.
Yes, go on. Well, yeah. I mean, yours is going to be has to win the championship or something, but you know.
My wooden spoon. So for the team Let's go team first. Team to have most retirements. Alpine. The the driver to have the most retirements. Who do you think I'm going to say, Matt?
Is it Pierre Gasly?
It is not Get Off the Gasly. It is Yuki
Is
Tsunoda.
it Esteban Ocon? Oh, yes, sir! I can't answer mine because I can't call it. I generally can't call it. But what I can tell you, Zagoba, is if you are interested in watching the Bahrain Grand Prix, qualifying is on Saturday at 3 p.m. UK time, and the race is on at 3 p.m. UK time on Sunday, the 5th of March. I, for one, will be watching, probably with a pizza, because that's how we roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as always, I've loved that we've done this. Just have to say it, because it's not often that we get to talk sport in the way that we have today, for example, especially not on the podcast. But it's just, I can't describe it. The excitement that the Formula One build-up brings, and even sort of, we get this way when when it's sort of the mid-season break as well. We get like this. We get this excited about what the finish is going to be like. So for us to be able to share that with you guys, it means a lot to us. Now, we'll be back
maybe
next
as
week.
an idea to go up. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, come on, Karen.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe if people have enjoyed our take and are interested in Formula One, maybe throughout the year we can do like a Grand Prix review. Whereas if something exciting has happened, maybe rather than doing it as a podcast, we can live stream it, or at least we will record it anyway, and we could do a proper review. We can sit down and we can talk about it. We can get, if there's any frustrations, we can get it out there. Imagine if we did that after Abu Dhabi 2021. Fucking hell.
I don't think we've been able to publish anything because
what are the rules?
The voice notes into that group chat were expletive, to say the least.
That is your homework, Segura. You've got to find those voice notes so we can play them on next week's podcast.
Okay.
I, for one, was so angry, I threw my pizza at the wall. Now, for anyone that knows me, I love pizza, and that was my lunch, and I threw it at the wall. Potato wedges as well. Anyway, Sakura, over to you to do the outro today.
Anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week, but if a week is too long to wait for your Sam Matt Antics fix, Matt Dyer, how can they get it? Oh, God.
They can go to our Instagram, which is where we're most active, which is at Sam Matt Antics. You can go to our TikTok page, which is at Sam Matt Antics. You can go to our Facebook page, which is the Sam Matt Antics Podcast. You can join us on Discord, link in the thing. You can send us an email to salmaanticspodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our Twitter, which is at Sama_podcast. You can go to our Twitch, which is Sama_podcast. And I have to say, Sam is the social media director of Sam Antics, and he has failed to put any social media posts up recently, for which we will be giving him a disciplinary. Just so I'd let you know. See you next week.
And we won't go into Matt's debacle last week of his audio levels for the manager of
I thought you
those
forgot.
situations.
Damn.
So both of us will be getting a little slap on the booty, and we will
Bit of a cheeky
let
knoll.
All that's left to say is we will chat to you next week.